It started off like any other afternoon. A quiet, uneventful day where everything felt calm and ordinary. After a long, exhausting shift at work, all I wanted was a little peace. So, I ran a hot bath, letting the steam fill the bathroom, wrapping the small space in warmth. The silence was comforting. Nothing felt out of place. And yet, I had no idea that in just a few short minutes, everything around me, everything I thought I understood, would shift into something I couldn't explain. The house was unusually quiet. I could faintly hear the low hum of the TV in the living room, likely where my sister, Timmy's mom, was watching her usual evening show. My nephew Timmy had been staying with us for a few days. A polite, quiet boy. Sweet, really. Still, something about him always made me uneasy, though I couldn't say why. It wasn't anything he said or did. Just a feeling I couldn't shake. I sank deeper into the tub. The warmth spread through my limbs, loosening the knots in my shoulders. I closed my eyes and let out a long breath. The week had been hard, and this was my one moment to disconnect. But no sooner had my eyes shut than I heard a soft, barely there sound from the other room. A faint rustle. At first I ignored it. Houses make noises, old pipes, shifting floors, a window catching a draft. I told myself not to overthink it. But then it came again, clearer this time. A step. Not a creak, but the sound of movement. Someone, walking softly, deliberately, right toward the bathroom. My eyes shot open. I held my breath and listened, every nerve on edge. The door was locked. No one could just walk in. I reminded myself of that. But then came the sound of the doorknob, clicking, twisting, slow and sure. My stomach dropped. I sat up, heart thudding, trying to stay composed. "Joey?" I called, wondering if maybe my sister's boyfriend had come by without me hearing. No reply. Just more silence. I didn't know if I should speak again, open the door, or just wait. The air felt heavier now, the warmth of the bath no longer relaxing but suffocating. Then I heard it. "Auntie?" It was a whisper, barely, audible, but unmistakably Timmy's voice. My heart stopped. He never called me like that, never with that softness, that eerie calm. I gripped the edge of the tub, my fingers pressing into the porcelain as I tried to keep myself grounded. "What is it, Timmy?" I asked, my voice shaking despite my best efforts. There was a pause. "I need you," he said. Not like a child asking for help or comfort. It was different, firm, persistent, almost desperate. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to stay calm, though everything inside me screamed that something was wrong. "Come in," I said, after a pause that felt like forever. The door creaked open, slowly, light from the hallway pouring into the dim bathroom. Timmy stood there, his small frame outlined against the brightness behind him. It was him, my nephew, but something about him felt off. His eyes were darker somehow, unreadable, and his face didn't hold the innocence I was used to. It looked twisted, not in a playful way, but in a way that made my skin crawl. "Auntie," he said again, this time stepping closer to the tub. I blinked, unsure if I was imagining it, if I was just tired or overreacting. But no. His expression didn't change. The closer he came, the more wrong everything felt. He knelt beside the tub, reaching toward me, his fingers barely grazing my shoulder. "You're always so busy," he whispered. "But I need you now." The tone in his voice was unnerving. It was calm, too calm, and didn't match the words. There was no affection, no typical childlike pleading. It was like he was reciting something he'd rehearsed, cold, hollow, detached. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't normal. This wasn't about family or affection. Something was seriously wrong. I wanted to get up, to leave. But I couldn't move. My muscles, just moments ago relaxed, now felt frozen. My breath came shallow and I realized I was holding the edge of the tub like a lifeline. Timmy moved in even closer. His face was now just inches from mine. I could feel his breath, cold against my cheek, though the room was warm. His fingers gripped my arm tighter. "I've been waiting so long for this," he said, his voice disturbingly steady. "I'm not going to let you go now." The words hung in the air, dense and unnatural. Panic rose in my chest. This couldn't be real. Why was he talking like this? Why did he seem so changed? I didn't want to believe what I was seeing. Was it a joke? A nightmare? Was something inside him different? Or had I missed the signs all along? I wanted to scream, to push him back, but my body didn't respond. "I want to be close to you," he whispered again. The way he said it wasn't affectionate. It wasn't innocent. It was wrong, deeply wrong. And yet he said it with such calm, as if everything he felt made perfect sense. That's when I realized this wasn't just a strange moment between family. This wasn't a kid being weird or clingy. This was something else, something darker, something I didn't understand, and I was trapped. I tried to make sense of everything I had, the terrifying thought that I might never really know what was going on. There was no reason for what was happening, or for Timmy's strange behavior. All I could think about was how scary it was that the boy I thought I knew had disappeared and been replaced by someone or something completely different. Timothy's fingers gripped my wrist and wouldn't let go. His hold got tighter and tighter until I couldn't move. Fear and confusion made it impossible for me to act on my instincts, even though I knew I had to break free and get away from whatever it was. I whispered, "Please," but my voice was shaking. "What do you have planned? What do you need?" But he didn't answer. He kept his eyes on me with a cold determination. Now it was clear that he wasn't going to let me go. I tried to get free from his grip, but something in Timmy's eyes held me like he had cast a spell over me. My heart was racing and I wanted to run away. I was trying very hard to think of a way out, but the air felt thick and stuffy, and Timmy was always there. He told me in a whisper, "You're not going anywhere." His voice was so low that it did something to my spine. While his hand was on my arm, it slowly moved up as if he was seeing how I would respond. I wanted to scream and push him away, but I couldn't get the words out. Why was he doing this? Where was the sweet, innocent boy who used to look up to me before Timmy was always nice, shy, and interested in new things? But now it seemed like someone or something had taken over him. When the bathroom door squeaked again, I quickly turned around to see if my sister was there. But there was no one in the hallway, and I could hear weak footsteps outside. But they were far away. We were now the only ones left. I knew I had to move quickly. I tried to push Timmy's hand away again, but he was stronger. Then I thought his grip got tighter, making me feel panicked. The warm water used to make me feel better, but now it made me feel like I was sinking. Timmy leaned in even more, and his cold breath hit my neck. He said in a low, disturbing voice, "You're mine now, and you always have been." I've been waiting for you to understand what he said. It made me shiver, and it hung over me like a heavy shadow. It wasn't just a kid's game anymore. It was something darker and more dangerous. I gasped, and my mind was racing with ideas. He had no power over me. I had to fight back. However, what was going on with him on his face? I looked for a sign of the nephew. I used to know the kid who laughed and played and asked for bedtime stories. But all I saw was a cold, calculating stranger. I then thought of the little shampoo bottle sitting on the edge of the tub without thinking. I grabbed it and threw it at Timmy. It hit him right in the chest and made him lose focus for a moment. In that split second, I pushed away from him and climbed out of the tub, but the water was rough and my legs were weak. "Don't run away from me," Timmy said with an angry tone in his voice as he stepped forward, his eyes shining with a strong new light. I moved back because I was scared to death. He was no longer just trying to scare me. He wanted to hurt me. My thoughts were racing as I tried to find a way out. I couldn't stay in the bathroom, but it felt just as dangerous to run into the rest of the house. What if he chased me? What if I wasn't strong enough to stop him? I was so scared that I grabbed a towel and wrapped it around myself, thinking that it would make me feel safer. But it didn't. It was clear that Timmy was determined as he took another step toward me. There was no sign of fear in his eyes, just a frightening, emotionless control. I begged in a whisper, my voice shaking. "This is not you. I don't know what came over you." Timmy didn't answer when I said, "Please stop." When he reached out again, he grabbed my arm so hard I thought he might break it before I could move. At that moment, the fear I felt was too much to handle. He didn't seem to hear anything I said. It felt like the boy I used to know had been erased and something dark and dangerous had taken his place. Then a memory came back to me. It was so faint and far away, but it seemed to hold the key to understanding what was going on. I thought back to how Timmy had been acting strangely a few weeks ago. Strange dreams, strange behavior, and a change in his attitude had been talked about, but no one gave it much thought at the time. Now it all makes sense. He hadn't just gone through a phase. Something strange had happened to him. I had to leave. I had to get through this. I could just barely make out my sister's wards through the door, but it was too far away to help Timmy. And I were the only ones in this fight was strong, because I was afraid I had to fight. No matter what, I used all the strength I had to tear my arm free from Timmy's grip. When I pushed him back, I thought I might be free for a moment. Then he jumped forward faster than I thought he would. His hand wrapped around my wrist and pulled me back toward him with a force that felt almost unnatural. I grabbed the shampoo bottle again. But this time I used it as a weapon and smashed it into his face to try to throw him off enough to let me get away. He stumbled and looked confused for a moment, but then his eyes focused again with an even scarier determination. "Why do you fight back?" Timmy asked. His voice was oddly calm, like he was telling me off. "You're mine, I've always loved you." His hold on me relaxed just a bit, and I took that tiny chance. I jumped out of the tub and wrapped a towel tight around myself, ignoring the cold air. My legs were shaking, but adrenaline was pumping through my body. My heart was beating fast as I ran. Toward the bathroom door, I had to leave him alone. What had taken over Timmy was too much for me to handle by myself. When I threw open the door, my sister was standing there, pulled in by the noise. She looked scared, but I didn't have time to explain. There wasn't time to say anything. "Jack," I yelled. But he was gone. When I turned around, it looked like nothing had happened, because the bathroom was empty. My sister rushed to my side, but I couldn't explain what I had just been through, because what I saw and felt made no sense. That cute kid Timmy used to be, who loved to play, was no longer there. He'd turned into something bad as my sister tried to make me feel better. I caught a faint glimpse of Timmy watching from the hallway. In the dim light, his dark eyes sparkled, and I had a creepy feeling that he was there. I wasn't sure what would happen next, but one thing was clear. This wasn't over yet. Things only got stranger over the next few days. Even though the house felt different, and Timmy's behavior became more and more unpredictable. No one else seemed to notice. My sister told me I was crazy or overthinking when I tried to tell her what had happened, even though I was worried. But I knew in my heart that Timmy was no longer a normal child. It never felt safe again, because I knew that the darkness that had taken over Timmy couldn't be easily put out. I was also sure that soon enough everyone else would see the truth. But by then, it might be too late. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you want. To know what did happen next, don't think this story is over yet. There's still a lot more to